Well, hello and welcome to For Fox's Sake. My name is Pete Selby. We are live. We are live. So do make sure you get in contact. First of all, let's get the comments in straight away. We're talking all things Leicester City. It's a very, very busy week at the football club. Things are happening as we speak. Breaking news. I've just had 9 pancakes. Okay. It's Shrove Tuesday. Let's just get that out of the way. I know it wasn't the 12 that I had last year. And when we started the podcast 12 years ago, I think I had about 15. It was ridiculous. But I've had 9. So I'm fully charged. We've got a brand new guest as well. We've got possibly a technical director. We've just had Lily doing the women's show live. So if you've been watching that, fantastic. Thanks for sticking around. We were talking actually earlier, Ciaran. I'll introduce you in a second, but we're talking actually about what to call the podcast right now because things are happening. Yesterday, we had the pod with myself and Rob talking all things what John Percy broke in the Telegraph with Gary Rowett, not at the moment appointed Leicester City manager, but we expect that to happen in the next, let's say, 24 hours from now. If that happens, again, we'll bring you all the news right here on For Fox's Sake, for foxsake.news. And Andy's already done a deep dive on that. So head over to foxsake.news. And as you know by now, subscription to For foxsake.news is £5 a month. It's the price of a pint. And you get plenty of articles, plenty of quizzes, plenty of coverage of Leicester City women as well, all sorts on For foxsake.news. And it keeps these podcasts absolutely free. Great to have Ciaran Durham here alongside myself. Now, Ciaran, first of all, and we had when we have a new guest on, we just like to give a bit of an introduction because there's people out there who have listened or watched the podcast for maybe even over a decade. Okay,
Wow.
we know if they have, then obviously they need a little bit of help. But there you go. But what we like to do is just give yourself like 30 seconds or so and just quickly explain, because I've known you for the best part of about 7 minutes beforehand. Okay,
Absolutely.
but I think there's a lot of people out there who will know you from your social media presence. You're one of those people on social media who you got plenty of followers, and it's because you write some very sensible stuff. You're one of those people where people go, actually, I want to follow you because you stick to Leicester very closely. You're talking about all the news, or retweet all the news, and you give a really sensible opinion. I've followed you for a long time. I don't know you, but when you have that sort of person on social media, it's the good side of social media, isn't it? So let everyone know out there, who are you?
Oh, well, thanks, Pete. I really appreciate that. Who am I? It's pretty hard to sort of numb it down into a little bit of time, but I'm Ciaran, obviously. Born and bred in Leicestershire. Very proud to be from Leicestershire. Been suffering from Leicester since about 2004, 2005. Been sort of here, there, everywhere of Leicester. Been at Rome, been in Newport, been up and down the country. I work in football myself. So I have a job in football. I've worked for football clubs in the past, and I currently work with sort of grassroots level football. So I've got some level of pedigree in the football world. And like you said there, I'm probably the annoying person you see on Twitter every now and then, tweeting either about Leicester City or other random things. But yeah, I feel like we've got quite a good community on the, well, I say we, as a 50-50 split in the Leicester sort of online community of real big characters, and I feel like I sort of slip in there somewhere in the middle where I feel like I'm quite a neutral, don't try and ruffle too many feathers, just try and keep my opinion as open and honest, and really I try and involve as many people as possible. I feel like football is such a opinion based thing. I like to hear when I'm wrong. I like to understand where people are coming from. A lot of the times I do get abuse, but it's part and parcel of being on Twitter. But yeah, I think Leicester at the moment are such a, you don't know what you're going to wake up to. I feel like every day is a random day. Who knows what's going to happen by the end of the week at Leicester? And I feel like it's a really important time to chat about the club.
Yeah, I think we call it changing times. I think the title we landed on in the end. It's amazing, isn't it? Really. I mean, it's great to talk to. Obviously, you base yourself in football. You know football from grassroots up, and obviously with your social media presence as well. You talk to a lot of people, and it's a great tool. But also, you do get that abuse. And doing a podcast for 12 years, we've not had an awful lot. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. Who knows? But yeah, it's great to talk to you anyway, and great to have further voices on the podcast. Now, if you do want to be on the podcast, let us know. Let us know. You can get in contact directly with me. You can go on social media and send us a message, or we will message you. But the best thing to do is get in contact with me, Pete@forfoxsake.news. Then you can get in touch and come on. Why not? And have a word and have a chat about Leicester. Right, let's talk about Leicester. Okay. Now, first of all, as we sit here right now on this Shrove Tuesday full of pancakes, what has just happened? There is rumours abound that there will be a new technical director. First of all, a few people get in contact. Hello to Diana Della Rosa getting in contact. We've also got Ray, never a dull moment at Leicester Supporter, never at all. And Jennifer says hello as well. James McCarran rumoured. Now, this is a rumour. Would we put it in the kind of 10 out of 10 John Percy? Maybe not. But James McCarran, who's had roles in Europe and also at Manchester City, kind of minor honours. I think he's only 39. I went on his LinkedIn profile just before we came on. So it's a little bit of a left field appointment for what possibly might be our new technical director. What do we know about this guy?
Well, I mean, I'm looking here at him here, where he started in sort of the science performance side of football and has worked his way up. I mean, he started over in the US at Seattle Sounders. Now, that sort of background does lead very well to a director of football. In the modern world, statistics and things like that are really sort of, on the forefront of everyone's mind. I am looking at his career going, well, he's worked for the Premier League. He's worked for Man City. He's worked as a sporting director in a big club. But has he ever been I think Peter O'Rourke said his director of football is be his actual title. So to take over from Rudkin. Now, for me, he's only been in the director of player development role at City for sort of 8 months or so. Now, is it a risk? Yes. But do we need someone in that role who's been in a high level environment? Yes. And is it a step in the right direction? Yes. I mean, we were speaking a little bit before. The problem is with Leicester is we haven't got little puddles to fill at the moment. We've got big roles. Now, does he have the arrogant, egotistical nature to actually deal with the ownership model and to deal with people like Rudkin over his shoulder? Who knows? But I feel like it's a step in the right direction for sure. I mean, coming from the sort of sports science background, I like it. Has he been in the Championship as a director of football? No. But, we're in a position where, has anyone really been in our position in the last sort of 10 years? Have they gone from the very, very top to nearly League One? No. So a new sort of voice, I think it can only benefit us, really.
One comment already. Michael says we don't need a technical director. Well, I think technically we do, Michael, to be perfectly honest, because the roles in football now, it's changed. Gone has been the days of having a chairman and then having the manager, and the manager oversees every aspect of both training, both match day, and also then beforehand with signing players, etc. You have that technical director role, and maybe there is a relationship there along the wavelength of, as soon as this guy was mentioned, I was thinking straight away, maybe we do have a little bit of a link with Manchester City, with players coming on loan from Manchester City, not just right now with Mikasa, but also if you look previously, we've got Enzo Maresca as well. And sometimes these relationships last for an awful long time between clubs. And this could be a carryover from either the signings or possibly Enzo, who knows? But there also could be links with maybe the new manager, maybe Gary Rowett. Maybe there is a relationship somewhere down the way. Someone can maybe connect the dots in a bit of a silent witness style, put them all on the wall and then connect the dots and try and figure out what's what. And then eventually it will come out in the wash. But we can only, at the moment, speculate, really. But the one thing with him is that at this current time, it doesn't really affect what's kind of happening on the field, because the transfer window's been and gone, and a technical director role would be something along the lines of what we would need in the summer. And it's something that a player, a manager, hopefully would be able to build with and build a relationship with and work together to form a squad in either League One or the Championship, Ciaran. And that's where my next question, the news about Gary Rowett, it hasn't been confirmed as yet. But your thoughts on that possible appointment? Let's just go down the wavelength of when people who are listening to this, because you can listen via Apple Podcasts or via Spotify as well, maybe listen to this on their lunch break tomorrow, and the news has broken that he's been appointed. What were your initial thoughts yesterday when John Percy dropped that Rowett bombshell?
I think it's very King Power. I think it's very... We haven't put much thought into it. It's been, 3 weeks since Cifuentes has gone. Rowett left Oxford towards the end of December. I'm looking at it going, well, a week before Cifuentes was sacked, were they having those conversations? 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks? Has it been a 12-week process where they've looked at managers on the market and gone, okay, what is going on here? For me, it feels like they sacked Cifuentes, gave it to Andy King, and basically said, do the best you can, and we'll sort of work out from there where our mistakes have led, which for me is throwing them under the bus a little bit. For me, I feel they could have got someone in the day they sacked Cifuentes, and they could have just given Andy King a little bit more of a sort of prominent role in that to help transition. But they've thrown him under the bus, and they've realised it's not worked. The players, the attitudes of the players, we've seen no uptake in that since Cifuentes has gone. I mean, I can't, me personally, I've not seen anything different from pre or post Cifuentes, sorry. And I'm looking at it going, Rowett was available way before Cifuentes was gone. Is it chasing their tails a little bit? I mean, he's played for the club, yes. He's managing the Championship. Is he the sort of big Sam of the Championship? You could argue. But has he ever managed a level of player that we've got, with the egos that we've got, with the sort of level of football we should be playing? No, I'm looking at it going, Birmingham, Derby, Stoke, Millwall, Oxford United, were they, underperforming in the Championship, and he's managed to keep them up with smaller budgets and things like that? Whereas now, we've got by far the biggest budget in terms of wages. The problem isn't the style of football that we're playing. I think it's the players on the pitch. I think it's the ego and the classic, the James Maddison will be fine sort of mentality that stuck with us for the last few years. I think we've always had this, Leicester City are this, Leicester City are that. Whereas on the pitch, they've not done any of that. They've not done the talking. They've not. They're overpaid and underperforming. Whereas you think back to the Great Escape or the Premier League, we had underpaid overachievers, and we've flipped it all on its head. We've got a group of players that I very much dislike. I mean, this is probably the first group of footballers that, if I saw them in a coffee shop, would I want to shake their hand? Probably not. It's been a disappointment. It's been years of constant, egotistical madness at the football club, which has come from the recruitment, which has come from the highlighted wages. I mean, I look at some of the money that some of the players that are on, and you just think, in 4 or 5 months' time, we could be in League One. The new technical director could be looking at going, we've got 50 odd million pounds worth of wages in League One. How on earth has that happened at this football club? And for me, I feel like the appointment of Gary Rowett is a bit of a plaster over a large wound that, I hope it works. But then what do you do in the summer? Do you keep him? Do you give him a year? There's too many questions and not enough answers.
Absolutely. Michael makes a few good points, actually. We've already got a football operations director and a director of football who are no good. Why do we also need a technical director? Is it a case, Michael, do you reckon that we're kind of maybe shuffling the deck chairs on the Titanic? I think personally with this appointment, I really don't think that they know what role, if any, that John Rudkin will be in the future. I think maybe if they do get relegated, then it could well be the straw that breaks the camel's back. Who knows? Maybe protest might work. It might be the case that they've looked at it and gone, actually, yeah, we're going to make a change. Or maybe John himself has actually turned around and gone, do you know what? I just don't want to be here anymore because of I think whatever happens in the next few years, even if it turns into a promotion winning campaign next season, for example, the damage has been done. So maybe it's got him. So it could well be that we're appointing people in roles that aren't actually free as yet. That's, again, just pure speculation by me. Why it seems that could easily be the case with all the changes that we've seen at the moment. I think to nail down roles for anyone at the football club is maybe just speaking a little bit too soon. We've got Ray, who says, didn't we learn the lessons from Brendan sacking? 0 points from 3 league matches again. We've also got a few more comments saying, and Michael says, I think it's time to focus away from Rudkin and co. Now, I completely agree. And I think that's kind of where we're going to go now with our discussion, Ciaran, because you mentioned there about the team itself and how poorly they've been, and also the lack of excitement, the lack of, and you mentioned that coffee shop scenario and analogy, really good. If you saw one of the players now, it would be like, Really? When before, if you walked in and saw James Maddison or Andy King maybe as a player, it would have been fantastic. And even if you saw Andy King in the Championship or even a League One, if you saw Matty Fry, for example, it would have been exciting. At the moment, there's even when a player scores a decent goal or performs a fantastic trick, even someone like Abdul Fatawu, who has almost been completely lost in this season. And I think regardless of what happens at the end of the season, whether Leicester go down or stay up, I think his personal achievements, because overall we'll see what happens if they do stay up, then we can look back on Abdul Fatawu's performances this season and go, what an amazing season he's had. Fantastic goals were scored, vital points were secured, mostly by tremendous goals from Fatawu. If we go down, then all of his personal highlights completely get washed away, don't they? And so even a player of that nature who, let's be perfectly honest, even if we do stay up, there's, I would say, more than a 50% chance of him not being in Leicestershire next season, either because he's going to move to a bigger club for his own career or probably because Leicester need to sell him and want to get a good few quid. But it's just a real shame, isn't it, overall?
Absolutely. I mean, I look at the squad now and you look at it from top to bottom and you go, would you replace them all? Probably. I think bar Ben Nelson and Jordan James, who's on loan, do we activate the buy-in? For his career's sake, I hope we don't. But personally, I hope we do. I look at it and I go, Stolarczyk, I feel has been quite let down by the people around him. I feel like there is a great goalkeeper in there, but he just isn't consistent enough for us. You look at the defence and you go, Okoli is prone to mistakes. This was a player that was playing in Serie A a couple of years ago, and if in 6 months' time we're in League One, he wouldn't look dissimilar to a League One footballer. I look at the strikers, and you go, where on that pitch is a game changer, bar Fatawu, and you go, Mavadidi's been mild at best. Daka and Ayew. I mean, how many times do you have to say it? I feel like we all knew the problems at the start of this season that Leicester would face, and we're facing them. And it feels like everyone looking in's gone, well, we knew that was going to happen. But the people at the actual football club are going, oh, we had no idea this would happen. And it feels just so backwards that we could have all predicted this. I mean, giving Ayew the number 9 shirt is, for me, completely baffling on a completely off topic. But you looked at the start of the season, you looked at the summer, Cifuentes coming in late, paying his own release fee and whatever. And you just think, we're not set up for a good season. We've not had a good season. And we're probably not going to have a good end to the season. But it's all down to the management staff. I mean, we spoke a little bit there about technical director. We don't even have a CEO. Who's calling the shots? Top's in Thailand half the time. We lost Susan Whelan under quite odd circumstances. And Susan Whelan was great for the football club and also had her faults as well. I mean, I'd like to know, how much of the football club she actually had, control of, obviously with her other roles that she had in. But I mean, I don't know if you saw the documentary, the video that Charlie Methin did on the Business of Sport podcast, where he spoke about Susan Whelan was happy for us to have over 110% of revenue on wages. How have we been allowed to be run as a football club like that? It's truly just completely baffling, Pete. I don't know where the fix is going to come with us. I said to you before, like, the problem is with Leicester, it's not little holes anymore. We have to completely restructure everything. If we go down, we probably lose the Cat 1 Academy. We probably lose the women's team. I mean, I saw some financials that said, the female team getting relegated will be good for Leicester because of the money involved in it. How, as a football club, are we allowing that to happen? Leicester City has always been a community football club. It's always prided itself on, bringing a pathway, being a football club for its community. And we're sat here going, well, we're going to have to penny pinch the Cat 1 Academy and the female team if we go down, if we stay as a football club. It's purely baffling.
It really is. And I understand when people look at football and look at Leicester and they want to look at the team. I said yesterday to Rob about the fan, and there could be, people listening to this right now, watching this right now, and they turn around and go, that's me. I'm the fan who goes to watch the team. I'm not bothered who the CEO is. I'm not bothered who the technical director is or what happens behind the scenes, etc. I go to watch that 11 versus that 11, and I will cheer on whoever's wearing the blue shirt. Okay, I will go to the pub beforehand. I will always have a Balti pie. I'll always talk to the people who will sit around me or stand around me, even if I don't like them. And then I will go home and win, lose, or draw. All I want to see is effort from those wearing blue. That's all I want to see. Okay, it's my release. It's football. Okay, maybe a little bit of an old-fashioned point of view, especially to maybe people like myself and yourself who like to look at the wider aspects of the football club. But that view is held by probably the vast majority of the 30-odd thousand who go to the King Power. But then when you look at the side that we've got right now, and then you look at the state of the club, and then you look at some people saying going down to League One might be a good thing because then we can completely press the reset button and then we can bounce back. I think, first of all, those people now, first of all, they're completely entitled to their opinion. I think they're concentrating on the football side of things. I think they're looking at what happened when we bounced straight back with Matty Fright scoring the goals and, of course, having Mandrick and having Nigel Pearson in charge. I don't think that will be the case. Second, exactly what you said. If Leicester go down, they are bang in trouble of, guess what, going bang because of what they've got infrastructure wise. That Cat 1 Academy, again, the women's team, Seagrave itself, everything being ran as a Premier League club in League One, they can't be sustained. In fact, the only way they can be sustained actually is King Power staying in and owning the football club. So going down will be a complete disaster. But I think those fans, and there's been quite a few videos going around recently and fans saying, actually, yeah, League One would be great. I think it's almost a release and saying it without maybe looking at the consequences. I think it's an easy thing to say when you look straight at the team, and I don't blame anyone for saying it. But I think it would be a complete disaster for Leicester. And I think Leicester as a football club, first of all, we know money's going to be spent, maybe too much in places, but they need to rebuild, but they need to rebuild in the Championship. We know how tight the Championship is. And I'm not going to sit here right now and say if we survive, we're going to win the league and we're going to get in the playoffs next season. But if we do survive, let's say on goal difference, with an own goal off somebody's arse in the 90th minute, and we survive on the last day of the season, next season, Leicester still will be one of the 6 clubs, top 6 in the betting for to win the league or to be in the Championship. Because of what we've got coming through youth-wise, because of the size of the club, regardless of who the manager is, who the technical director, all that doesn't matter. So they need to be in the Championship. And that's my next question to you, Ciaran. I want to know your thoughts on the side. Now, you mentioned already about the goalkeeper and the defence. That defence, you mentioned the Coley. He is awful. And I don't like saying this about players because players go through bad times. They have skill sets which sometimes are not matched by the current setup of the side. But for this guy, I'm not being funny. How many times have we seen him not win a header, but not even get close? He's strangely terrible at jumping. He's got an inability of looking behind him when in the penalty area for a centre forward. I don't think he's being helped by his other centre halves or especially left backs, for example. I think there's zero communication. I think there's zero communication from the goalkeeper unless Begovic plays, and then there will be. But he's got a terrible, terrible knack of ignoring a player running across in front of him, even if they're not the most mobile centre forward in the world. Stewart for Southampton, for example, a player I know very well. He is a very good player, and he's had a very unlucky time at Southampton. But for him to run across a defender and be able to flick the ball in, and also it was alongside Nelson, who maybe isn't the big leader, the big character at the back that we need at this current time, maybe because of his age. But I'm sorry, Coley is absolutely dreadful. Many people have Thomas as their number one bad guy, but for me, this guy who you said has got pedigree from Serie A, he really is for me top of the pile. I want to know who is top of your pile, and the pile, it's not a pyramid of gold, it's a pyramid of, yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
But for me, I feel like you could label every single player that's played for Leicester this season under one banner, and that's naive. From Luke Thomas, and I am Ricardo Pereira's biggest fan. I will always wave his flag. That 2 or 3 years in the Premier League, he was by far the best right back in the league.
His legs are gone. Legs are gone.
He's not at it. And the problem is when you've got Luke Thomas and Ben Nelson one side and a Coley and Pereira the other side, Ben Nelson's constantly covering for Luke Thomas, who has pulled out. And the same is happening the other side. So we're constantly being caught out, but also we've also got naive players in being caught out. So you're getting the cheap red cards, you're getting the cheap goals given away. Nothing we do at the top of the field will matter because we concede so many goals. We're so susceptible to a counter-attack and to a late goal that it doesn't matter if Daka's at the top, doesn't matter if Ayu's scoring, doesn't matter what Fatawu or Jordan James, who have bailed us out plenty of times, are doing. If we score 2, we concede 3. And that has to change. I don't know where that change is going to come from. He's given Nelson the captaincy the other day. I feel like that was a little bit to show the others, the more experienced players, look, this lad come through the academy. He's our captain because the rest of you, what are you playing at? And I do feel Andy King is being thrown under the bus. I don't think we're set up tactically very, very strong. But I also look at it and go, well, you look at our midfield. We sold Samare in January. Didn't really bring anyone in to replace him. We sold Ndidi in the summer. We didn't really bring anyone to replace him. I'm looking at Skip and Winks and I'm going, 4 years ago, they were in the Champions League semi-final versus Real Madrid, or however long it was ago, 4 or 5 years ago, playing for Spurs in the Champions League. I'm looking at them both going, what on earth has happened to you? Is it? I call it the Seagrave effect, to be honest with you. They've got this 5-star luxury hotel that they go to every day, and they're probably not at it. Are they at it at the training ground? No. Does it look like they're at it on the pitch? No. Do I think we need a complete overhaul of our transfer strategy? We've continued this, but we were big sellers for too long. We're going to have something new is going to have to happen. Is it buy low, sell high? Is it buy loads from abroad? Is it use the academy? This scattergun approach that we're building a squad on just isn't it. You know, we built the championship winning squad in 2014 on Premier League rejects and players that wanted it more than anyone else. And I can't think of anything more juxtaposed than the squad we have now. We've got players that are Premier League players that are bought for 20 odd million that are playing at League One level. It's whoever does come in the summer and touchwood we stay up in the summer. I don't even know what we do then. Do you gut it all? Do you start again? Do you say to, you know, ex players that we've sold, or do you look around the Championship? Who are we? We've lost all identity of Leicester City. It's completely troubling to think about. You know, you could have guaranteed in 2020 to 2023 who's going to come in the summer, who are we going to move on, where's the transition going to come in from. Now I'm looking at it going, I have no idea who starts on Saturday versus Stoke.
Well, that's going to be my next question about how we get out of this. Let's just go through a few comments. Do comment. Yes, League One will be a complete disaster for the club, says Michael. We've got Paulo Stevo says Top should have extended the stadium, then the surrounding area, indoor arena, car park, hotel, fitness academy, and then Seagrave. Yeah, it was such a shame when obviously those plans came out and then obviously got relegated. It would have been every time I go by the King Power, I always look at it and go, oh, it is a shame, isn't it? We can't lose a women's team. We can't lose Alicia Lehman. No, we can't. And also KP. Know that no one is going to cough up 400 to 500 million for the club. It's win-win for them. I'm not too sure it's win-win, but I get what you mean. No, yeah, exactly. And if that's the thing that we'll come on to at the end when we look at protests. By the way, for those watching right now and those listening tomorrow morning, we will have tomorrow early exclusive interview with the Unite for Change, those who have put forward this protest that's going to happen a week on Saturday.
Norwich,
okay,
yeah,
against Norwich. So
I'm a part of that group myself. I align 75% with what they stand for. I think it's very difficult when you talk about change, where some people think, you know, it's King Power out. I think King Power have got some level of pedigree where they deserve a chance to fix things. But I personally believe they're not going to fix things. I would hate to see a world where King Power and Top and Vishai's legacy is completely diminished. But I think it's come to the natural end. And that's where I think the protest, we're going to have to show them that there is distress in the fan base, because the fan base is torn because of the success we've had. But I do feel things need to change, and they need to change rapidly, and they need to change at the very, very top. So it'd be great to hear from those guys tomorrow.
It will be. We've also got Dallas Fox's Charles. Very good evening to you. Ban the players from using the swimming pool, sauna, golf course, etc. Make them earn it. Seagrave is like a 5-star hotel. Well, it is. It is. It has got a 5-star hotel, but
Absolutely.
it's get exactly what you mean, Dallas Fox's Charles. Absolutely. Yeah, it'll be very interesting to hear what they've got to say tomorrow regarding the protest. I've got my own views here for Fox 8. What we are, we're a platform for different factions, different supporters groups to put across, and we will be able to report it. So plenty on for Fox8.news, plenty of articles written by Andy Moore. Just another heads up for Fox8.news. And also on there, I'm going through the top 100 Leicester City players of all time. Hopefully you've been enjoying that series. We're well into the 70s now, and we've got a few players from the late 90s, a few famous players have poked their head up. But one player who we've already had in that was one of those players that you were mentioning with regards to the 2014, the glorious 2014 side. And that was David Nugent, who's made it into the top 100. I can't remember exactly where he is. He's in the 95, I think he is. And for each of these players, by the way, there will be a nice bio. So when they were born, etc., and who they played for, and how many appearances for Leicester, how many goals, their honours, and also there will be video clips of them and a nice big long read regarding their career. And it's not just a read saying they did this, they did that. It's written by my good self. This is all my handiwork. So you'll get a few opinions from me as well about them and some of their famous moments as well. And David Nugent, the one thing that stood out with me is that he was free. And those are the sorts of players that we're going to be fishing around for. But do we have the attraction to sign a player who slightly lost his way at Portsmouth, but obviously was an England international, as we all know, 1 goal, 1 game from 1 in shouts, also an FA Cup final win. That sort of pedigree, that's what we're going to be looking for. And you think back to Kevin Phillips, etc., playing, people like Dean Hammond and a squad filled with players like those, alongside obviously the players who then stepped up and became Premier League champions. The likes of Andy King, Kasper Schmeichel, Wes Morgan, go through it, Jamie Vardy, absolutely everyone, Riyad Mahrez. The list is endless. Yeah, all of them, absolutely fantastic. But those experienced players who maybe were shipped on after the miracle season that followed, the survival, those players who were shipped on, or maybe even shipped on in, say, Richard Delat, halfway through the Premier League winning season, and nearly did the ultimate double of winning the Premier League and winning the Championship, coming second, very, very close to being the ultimate quiz question of all time. We will need to fill our squad with those players. But what I want to talk about, let's just turn these frowns upside down, Ciaran. That's what I want to do. I want to know, how do we get out of this? I don't want to talk about specifically the game against Stoke. It would be interesting if Gary Rowett is in a dugout because it didn't go too well for him at Stoke. But I want to know how, in your opinion, Leicester can get out of this. The easy question would be, what would you do if you were on the touchline? In fact, what would you do if you're on the touchline? I want to know, who in the team currently wouldn't you play again? Who would you play in place? Or what style of football would you encourage the team to play to maybe get the best out of 1 or 2 players? I'll just throw in a conversation I had with my dad today about Patson Daka, who we all know can't trap a sandbag. But how many times have we seen Patson Daka run through on goal with the ball and score for Leicester? That's all he's ever done. When he's scored, it's by running through on goal and scoring. How many times have we actually given him an opportunity to run through on goal with a through ball? Hardly any. With his back to goal, he's absolutely awful. He's not Jamie Vardy. And he picked up that loose pass the other day and went around the goalkeeper and scored. Him running around up front, I have no idea why we're not playing him more, but I have no idea why we're not playing a system, and it may be slightly more counter-attacking, or maybe have a more sizable forward alongside him. Nothing really comes to mind, although Richards looks like he's got a bit about him. Why we aren't playing 2 centre forwards, I have no idea. I know I banged on about that an awful lot on his podcast, but my God. And the second thing I would say, and this is a sentence I didn't think I would say, possibly ever, but thank God Victor Christiansen is back playing, because we don't have now Luke Thomas as our only fit left back. My God in heaven, I would not play him again this season. Nothing against the lad if he's watching, nothing at all. But his confidence is through the floor. Through the floor. The fact that Australia are saying, excuse me, it's poking up for our gardens, his confidence. It's that low. It is that low. And he needs his summer break right now. And hopefully Christiansen can stay fit and keep his role there, even though he has not cut the mustard absolutely whatsoever in Leicester shirt. Over to you, Ciaran.
No, I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think going back to basics, I think going with a 4-4-2, a flat 4-4-2 with the Dujon and Daka up top and getting Harry Winks to use his balls, to get Harry Winks to put that ball over the top, get him stretching the defence. I mean, look at the pace on Mavididi, Fatawu and Daka. But the problem is, half the time, they're facing towards Luke Thomas and Pereira rather than the other way. I think it's going back to basics and going, we're just going to go at them. We're going to go direct. We're going to play these, long balls. We're going to play a little bit more sensible. We're not going to mess around with it. We're not going to give Akoli a chance to have a one-on-one against him running ahead. We're going to have a flat back four. We're going to have, I would probably pick Begovic. I'm not too sure on the other fellas at Vietas, or however you say his name. He seems like a ghost. Does he exist?
Who is he?
Yeah.
Has anyone seen him? Has anybody seen our third choice goalkeeper? If you have, let us know. If you've seen him in a petrol station on Saffron Lane, let us know. Who is he? Does he exist? How much is he on? What was that going on? What was that about?
Sorry. I think it's money laundering. He must be on the same agent as Cifuentes. It must be. But like you said there, Christensen being back. Now, if you would have told me in the Premier League, by the way, you'll be on your hands and knees to have Christensen back in the side, I'd have told you something's gone very wrong. But for me, at least he puts a tackle in. And we haven't seen Luke Thomas do that enough. I mean, you saw the foul he gave away for the goal at Southampton. I'm just looking at him going, something's not right there, because, Golden, I think he got Golden Boy nomination 4 or 5 years ago. He played for England under 21s. He's consistently being picked up by decent championship teams for loans. And that can't be the same player I'm watching week in, week out, attempts to defend. I mean, he isn't the tallest. He isn't the strongest. He isn't the fastest. You don't need to be, but you need to have some form of ability. And we're not seeing anything from it at the moment. So for me, it's got to be Christensen in there. I would like to see the Chowdhury in for me. I know he splits the fan base, but for me, Chowdhury offers so much more than a lot of the other players. I think even at right back, I think he puts a challenge in. He's one of those that will get a yellow card, a sensible yellow card. He's one of those that will, have a shot when you shouldn't really shoot, but you probably need something. I think he epitomizes what we should be at aiming for in the team. He always gives 100%. Whether his ability matches that 100%, I think he needs to be in and around it. I'd like to see some of the new lads. The problem I'm feeling is we have too much reliance on 16-year-olds coming off the bench. And in the Championship, you think of the Championship, you think tall, strong, fast footballers. But we're bringing on 16-year-olds that aren't experienced. Now, 2 minutes into the game, one hit, and they're gone. They're out of the game. They've been marked out of the game by a bloke who's 32 and played 200 times in the Championship. For me, we need to have the experienced lads playing better and allowing for the young lads to actually get time into a game. It feels like we only play for 45 minutes and the rest of it was switched off. We have to be switched on. We have to go with the mindset that every game now, I mean, I'm looking at the fixtures, is a cup final. I mean, we've got to go to Middlesbrough and Ipswich. I can't see us getting anything from those games. I'm looking at the rest of them going, Sheffield Wednesday away is probably the only game where you look at and you go, that's the only 3 points. And even then, I think it's hard to look at any game and see points. I mean, it's going to come down to that last game of the season in May at Blackburn away for me. And I just hope we've got enough in the tank to get through. But keen to hear your thoughts.
Well, let's just hear a few thoughts from the listeners and also people who are watching. Have you heard anything about Leicester approaching Christian Fuchs at Newport ahead of Rowett? Not heard anything, but I would be surprised. But then again, who knows with the football club? But yeah, not heard anything at all.
Just by the way he started.
Yeah, I can't see it, but again, who knows? We've also got Michael again. For some reason, none of the players are playing any good. I think the problem is within the club. We've also got Ray saying, on top of all the mismanagement and the poor decisions, we seem to be constantly ravaged by injury. Ramsey, JJ, and now Lascelles. Yeah, Lascelles is a real kidney punch. That was a real blow because we know he's going to take a few weeks to get back up to speed. But it's it's a real shame. Let's go back to the Jock Wallace days. He used to get him running up at Beacon Hill up that way, and it didn't do Lineker any harm. And players we now have don't look fit. Yeah, Paul. Back in the day, we've all seen the pictures of them running around braggart, etc. Why not? Because again, they don't look fit. So the one thing with Ricardo, again, we mentioned about him being being basically gone at the game, his legs are gone. I think personally he could still play in midfield because he has the technical ability to. And with Chowdhury out of the side, if you're going to maybe play 3 in midfield or you're looking at someone anchoring, I still think he has that ability. I just think at fullback, he's gone. If you're a winger now, you're going, I could take on Ricardo. And underneath the high ball, he's never been the best because that's not part of his game. He's always been.
He's a winger. He's a winger who came back.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's just not part of his game. But again, we've got a lot of injuries. It's a real problem. Yeah, we do have a real problem. My thought about the size is absolutely the same as yours. I think they should be very narrow. A few people actually were saying about the Southampton were getting too many crosses in, but Southampton play with those 3 in behind a centre forward. And the one thing I will try, and this might sound a bit daft, but then again, it is for Fox 8 podcast, so we're used to that by now. And that is, when you look at what happened against Southampton, the capitulation in that second half, yes, it was completely abysmal. And there's I'm not defending it in any way, shape, or form. The one thing I would say, there was kind of a perfect storm about it. Southampton, and again, I work for Southampton. I'm their club commentator, or one of their club commentators. So they were a very attacking side, and when they've got the bit between their teeth after they scored that first goal, it was just wave after wave. And I said at the time, Leicester are playing against probably the one side in the Championship you don't want to be playing against in this kind of scenario where there is nothing to lose. And I put Middlesbrough and Coventry in that. I think Southampton, when the game is played out in that sort of fashion, are one of, or if not the best side, because they have certain players who can really do some damage. They have Finistaz in the centre. They have fellows out wide who I think is quite limited, but they have the best player in the Championship, Leo Cienza, for me. And look what happened in the second half. He completely ripped Leicester to shreds. But it was a complete disaster. But then you fast forward to what happened at the weekend. And that's where I just look at the sky, and we've had rain for the last 8 weeks or so. But I just see a slight chink in the clouds, a little parting, and a little bit of light shining down. And there was a few performances which we saw on the midweek in the first half, especially. And then we saw on Saturday, I think Mikasa looks very exciting in that role in behind a forward or two at the forward point position of a midfield diamond, or with the 2 sitting players, probably Winks and Skip in his current time. He looks very excited, and I thought Richards had something about him, not just in terms of size, but I love the way there was a lovely through ball by Winks in the second half, and he took it in stride and shifted to his left outside of the D. Great defending by Kwasi, who managed to change direction and then quickly block the shot. So it might have gone slightly unnoticed because the ball never went near the goal at all. It was a blocked shot. But it was a really nice bit of play. And we saw him down the wing, not afraid to push the ball past the player and run after it. And because of his size, it was a little bit almost like a Heskey style, because Heskey never took a player on with any skill. It was push it past them and then just try and run either through them, over them, or try and go around them. And that's what you got a little bit with him. And I thought, hang on, there's a little bit something about this guy. Now, we can't rely on a player like that to score the goals, but alongside someone like Daka, like we were saying earlier, a little bit of hope. Also, having Winks back in the side, a little bit of control. And also, he did something that we've not seen for an age, and that was a forward pass. Now, we know he's not the best at forward passes, but my word, there was at least 2 or 3, and they stood out a mile. It was a 20-yard forward pass over the halfway line. I stood up and started like spinning the scarf around in the com box. It was ridiculous. I've just never seen everyone look around. People, you are, sit down. I was like, we've not seen this. We have not seen this at all. When if Leicester players pass the ball forward over the halfway line, it's ridiculous. We know we've got talent out wide. Mavididi, I think, has been dreadful for 2 years. Such a letdown in the Premier League. And this season, he's been off and on. But I think in the last probably a couple of months, he's actually, his level of his game has actually been to a certain 7 out of 10, I would say. I don't think he's dipped down below that at all. I think he's actually been fairly decent. And then, of course, we've got Fatawi on the other side. So there is that little bit of promise. It's just at the other end of the field. It's just at the other end of the field. And I'm afraid talking about maybe going a bit narrower as a back four, because again, get the balls in the centre. Well, we haven't got Lascelles now in the centre, and we know they can't defend crosses at all. Vestergaard out, Lascelles out. We're still not Harry Suter. We just don't know.
Is
probably
he still
one
alive?
next season.
I've never seen that bloke.
It's a case of, and I know in the last week or so we've had some crazy scorelines, but we've just got to score more than them, which I know is a very simple thing to say in football, but we know we're going to concede. Leicester are the ultimate both teams to score side on your coupon. So I just think we just have to, hopefully, when the new manager comes in, which looks like Gary Rowett's, hopefully he can just do something on the training ground and just install a little bit of nous, a little bit of common sense with the back line, and a no nonsense approach as well. Get rid of the ball, nothing fancy, which I think they started to was employed through Andy King. I think. We saw a little bit of it, and hopefully Fitz Christiansen can give a little bit of confidence to his centre halves on his inside, especially Nelson, because I think he's just lost all confidence through being played alongside of Coley, because that's all we've got. So hopefully that happens. And Rowett can just install that little bit of, almost a little. Everyone thinks they need a bit of a rocket. I think they do, but I think they also need maybe a bit of an arm around them as well. Someone who's been there and they know he's played at the highest level. We know Andy King has, but another voice on the touchline, and just another set of ideas. And hopefully it clicks, because maybe a couple of wins on the bounce, or maybe 2 wins in the next 5 or 6 games, that might be enough just to bring us clear. But at the moment, Ciaran, I got really worried when we dropped into that relegation zone. All of a sudden, all these voices about protests and King Power out, which I think a lot of people weren't maybe comfortable with because of what's happened in the past in lots of different ways. All of a sudden, you looked at it and it kind of made an awful lot of sense to a few people who maybe wouldn't have thought that in maybe only a few weeks ago. One of them being me. So as we sit here right now, the last minute or so on the podcast, what are your thoughts looking forward to this weekend? And do you think that Leicester will get anything regardless of a new manager coming in, or do you think with a new manager we can manage to possibly turn this sinking ship around? Can we stay afloat, Ciaran? Can we?
You know what they say, never back the early kickoff, and at the moment Stoke are favourites. So, all I'm thinking is, let's just hope and pray. I don't think that we'll get Rowett in by the weekend. I think it's too soon. I don't think, logistically we're a nightmare on those sort of things. I think he'll probably be in the stands. And then you're looking towards Tuesday, where we've got probably the most difficult away game in the league. So who knows? It's Leicester City. Whenever I expect us to win, we lose. Whenever we expect to lose, we win. So I think we can go and get some at Stoke. 12:30. It's going to be raining. It's going to be cold. All they need to do is put the long balls into the fast lads, and we should be all right.
Fingers crossed. Thanks for joining us on For Fox's Sake, Ciaran, and we look forward to having you. We look forward to having you back on the podcast in the very near future. Make sure everyone goes to forfoxsake.news. Check out forfoxsake.news. We go on about it a lot, don't we? But do check it out first. And if you think, look, I like the look of this, then do subscribe. Again, it's a pint a month. It's a £5 a month, and it keeps these podcasts free. So take a look at forfoxsake.news. Full coverage of Leicester City women on there as well. So if you do go down to the King Power and watch the Leicester City women team play, maybe you go with your niece, maybe you go with your sister, or maybe you go down with a bunch of lads and you go and watch the girls play. Fantastic. If you do, check out the content on forfoxsake.news, full coverage of Leicester City women, alongside big deep dives on Leicester City men's side from current day and also with the past as well. Leicester City, we're in a lot of trouble, aren't we? But all being covered here on foxsake.news. Looking forward to tomorrow, talking all things Unite for Change with the organisers of Unite for Change. Interesting. I'm looking forward to it. I better get writing some questions. But that's it for us. And we'll be back soon here on Fox's Sake.